Thank you. Thanks for the invitation to come back this year. Let's see, get this going. I have no disclosures to make. The objectives for this presentation will be to describe some of the pilot studies of genome sequencing that are going on in newborns, to talk about or understand some of the counseling issues that come up with families whose infants have had genome sequencing, and to list 3 ethical issues associated with genome sequencing of newborns. So with newborn screening, we think about the heel stick that you heard about earlier, and also the screening for critical congenital heart disease through pulse oximetry, and screening for hearing loss with audiometry studies. What is newborn screening? In a task force that published their findings in Pediatrics in 2000. I like their definition. It's a public health program aimed at the early identification of conditions for which early and timely intervention can prevent or reduce associated mortality and morbidity. There are criteria for effective newborn screening. These were taken from screening criteria that Wilson and Youngner published in 1968, and these include that treatment is available, that early institution of treatment before symptoms manifest reduces or eliminates the severity of illness, and that otherwise you're not going to detect this in a newborn, right? They're going to look fine. As you heard well from the family earlier, that their baby looked perfectly normal. They had no idea until they got that phone call that there could be anything going on. And it's the same for physicians when we see newborns in the newborn nursery with various conditions that we are able to screen for and do screen for. They otherwise look fine. And also an important part of effective newborn screening is that there be a rapid and economical laboratory test that's highly sensitive, so ideally no false negatives, and reasonably specific, few false positives. Because there was a lot of variability from one state to the other in terms of what conditions were being screened for across the country, in 2005, HRSA funded a task force that was through a contract to the American College of Medical Genetics, and this group came up with a recommended core panel of 29 conditions that they said all states should screen for, and also 29 additional secondary conditions that would be detected as part of the screening for the core conditions. This group, last I knew, is now called the Discretionary Advisory Committee on Heritable Disorders in Newborns and Children, and they continue to meet on a regular basis. New conditions can be nominated. And I think, unlike with the earlier group, they go through a very detailed process of looking at the evidence for various conditions. So it's very evidence-based.